I'm Kevin Jones, Editorial Director for Endeavor's commercial vehicle titles, including Fleet Owner and Fleet Maintenance magazines. Logistics operations must navigate a wide range of regulations that can shift based on location, operating hours, and specialized products or processes. At different points in their pipeline, they may need to meet requirements from OSHA, DOT, and their Canadian counterparts. This drives many organizations toward robust training solutions for their warehouse team and driver fleets, ensuring that they remain compliant and maintain a culture of safety at every level of their operations. Descartes Ground Cloud has helped thousands of carriers proactively address these ever-evolving requirements by delivering targeted training modules straight to drivers and warehouse personnel's mobile devices. Today, we'll be discussing in depth with two industry experts how these regulations can be met effectively, highlighting best practices and strategies to foster safe, efficient, and compliant logistics operations. Jerry and Graham are here from Ground Cloud to discuss some of these solutions. So, Jerry, talk a little bit about OSHA and CCOHS. What are the most important regulations to keep in mind for logistics operations?
Thanks, Kev, for that question. Kev, I'll explain it this way. So OSHA and CCOHS deals with driver safety once the vehicle's parked. And so it deals with making sure that these drivers remain safe in their workspace. And it just kind of boils down to this one phrase is workers have a right to know how dangerous their jobs are. And the whole point of like OSHA is to eliminate work-related like claims and just to ensure that the workspace remains as safe as possible for the workers.
Okay. So is driver safety something typically included under OSHA and CCOHS? Where does DOT fit into this?
Great question. So DOT, a lot of companies just think DOT is the only standard for driver safety. That's partly true, but remember, basically what I first mentioned earlier is that OSHA deals with once the vehicle's parked, right? So DOT is more once the vehicle is moving. So like for instance, OSHA requires annual training for these drivers, and it deals with ensuring that these drivers understand their workplace safety. And for instance, Kevin, like one thing, like so if you're in final mile, there's all these belts moving packages around, and the belts don't move fast, Kevin. But our phrase at FedEx was they don't move fast, but they don't stop. And myself personally, as a FedEx manager, I actually witnessed um, uh, it was a package handler grabbing a package, and then he put his hand on the belt because he was tired, and the hand got sucked in, and it peeled off the like top layer of his hand. So again, the belts don't look threatening, but the belts won't stop.
Okay.
So the point of OSHA is to go ahead and look at these injuries and these accidents and figure out how can we make this workspace even safer. And a simple way to think about that, Kevin, is when people say safety, people tend to like gloss over and they're like, I don't care about safety. But safety is history, Kevin. And I always told managers, drivers, whoever, don't become part of our policy or don't become part of our training manual. The whole point of OSHA is, look, there's all these government regulations, and it's just because there have been accidents or claims. And these are ways to make sure that those accidents or claims stop happening.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual overlap, between the OSHA and CCOHS rules and driver safety. How does that work?
I would say, Kev, the biggest overlap right there would be, like for instance, once like for DOT, right? Once the vehicle is moving, one of the biggest concerns is HOS, hours of service. So making sure that these drivers who are operating commercial motor vehicles are actually driving safely because they're not drowsy driving. And then, for instance, once that vehicle gets parked, that driver needs to ensure that he gets in and out of that vehicle safely. While I was at FedEx for years, one of our top accidents or claims was the driver arrived safely and parked safely, but then he got out of the vehicle and snapped his ankle, right? And it's because they're not entering that vehicle safely. And you're thinking, yeah, come on, Jerry, how often does that happen? But Kevin, if you think about like final mile, how many times a day does that driver park their truck? 150 times, 180 times. That's 150 times two of the driver getting in and out of that vehicle.
Okay. So, let's kind of, put all this together. So what's Descartes doing to help logistics operations address all these safety and regulatory concerns?
Do you want me to take that, Graham, or you want to stab at that one?
I can take a stab at that one.
Okay.
No, that's a great question, Kevin. And when we think about safety, it's in the context of the final mile fleet, specific to the drivers and the activities that they're engaging in on a daily basis. When you think about the safety content that customers have to pull together to make sure they're aligned with the regulation and they're educating their drivers on a regular cadence and frequency, making sure they're covering down on all the important elements of safety in their complex day-to-day tasks. There's a lot of content. It's not just pulling together that content, it's keeping it up to date. And then it's delivering that content to drivers, which historically often means pulling those drivers off the road so they're out of productive service time to train them. So within our customer base, folks are coming to us saying, hey, we've got a big driver workforce. They're scattered across the country. We're doing our best to keep up with content. And we've got demanding customers that we need to deliver to. And it's difficult to pull the drivers off the road to support them with proactive training content to make sure they're safe. And then also on the flip side, if there is an incident, reviewing that data, bringing in the driver to coach them on an incident using data that might be available. So it's a big, complicated problem. It's manually administrated historically. And what we're doing for our customers is we're curating meaningful, relevant content based on their specific use cases and the things they encounter in the driver's day, and then presenting it to them in a way that is hands-off for safety leaders and branch managers. So making it a digital part of their workflow experience so that when the driver logs in and they download their route for the day on the mobile device, they're first presented with some educational content that's a short training video that educates them on a lesson pertaining to their job to help them think safety and create a culture of safety within the organization. And then we document all the safety training that every driver's been presented with. They take a short quiz at the end to make sure the learning's absorbed. And only once they pass that quiz can they carry on in their workflow and get their list of stops for the day. So it's embedded in their daily workflow. It just takes a couple of minutes. It's automatically administered. And so that is the proactive approach to safety management and training. There's one other element to that. There's also reactive coaching. So if a driver's out on the road and they're busy and they're seatbelt non-compliant, so they're not buckling up, we can detect that. And at the end of their shift or when they start their next route, when they download their route on the mobile app, they'll be presented with a relevant training material that trains them on the area where they have the greatest opportunity for improvement to protect themselves and the community that they serve.
Very good. Jerry, I know that you and I have talked about the platform generally. Anything to add or to remind our audience before we sign off?
Yeah, just to really add. So, Graham, that was perfect. Just to add to that, the easiest thing that we talk to motor carriers about, or the best thing, I guess, is that we will go speak to that safety director and go, what are your main pain points? And if you don't see that main pain point in our vast library of 300 plus videos, our team will more than happily come out to you and film customized training for that issue or problems.
All that said, make sense of this, where does it really matter to your customers?
Yeah, so Kevin, I've always joked around with the idea of changing my title from Vice President of Safety to Vice President of Risk. And the point of that is like when I go to a conference and speak and somebody hears, oh, the Vice President of Safety speaking, nobody cares. Kevin, when you say Vice President of Risk is going to get up and talk, everybody sits up and listens. And so there's two key points to why. And the first one is, Kevin, very simply, we want every driver to get home safely every day. Number two, we want to ensure that that motor carrier is shielded from high claims. And for instance, Kevin, if you're a motor carrier who says, I'm going to handle all my safety issues, I'm going to go buy all these cameras, I'm going to put these cameras in every one of my trucks or vehicles, great. If you don't tie training with that, then what you have, Kevin, is a myriad of violations, right? Seatbelt, speeding, texting, whatever. And Kevin, if that driver gets into a serious accident, that claim in court just grew. And the reason it grew is because that lawyer is going to go, do you mean to tell me, Kevin, that you knew that Graham was texting and driving and he has 55 violations of this over the past year and you did nothing about it? So what's great about our system, Kevin, is not only does it help to change that driver's actions to make him safer, but it also allows for that shield so that in court, that motor carrier can go, we did everything possible, meaning we supplied proactive training and automatic reactive coaching.
Very good.
And in doing all of that, what we typically hear from our customers is that they see a drop in accidents and incidents by roughly 20% across the fleet. And that's with a combination of good telematics data to understand driving behavior, supplemented and supported by proactive and reactive automated training that's built into the workflow of the driver. So it's something that becomes a part of their day that they can't ignore and elevates awareness.
Very good. Well, thank you both. As always, good to chat with you and keep us posted.
Thank you,
Thanks
Kevin.
very much, Kevin.